great success the Peel Regional Police. They have busted the operation OUTSOURCE. They have arrested 18 individuals, those who involved in extortions, car thefts, shootings, and many much crime in the towing industry, starting from the highway victims, accidents, frauds, fraudulent claims, and the insurance claims. So let's see what the chief and the investigator officer has to say on this. Chief, Project Outsource, big achievement in the towing industry because this issue was going on since long years. The people had concerns about the towing industry frauds.
Yes, here in Brampton and Mississauga and Peel, we have some of the highest automotive insurance rates. One of the reasons we know is of fraud occurring in the insurance industry. And it starts with criminal entities that are running tow businesses, that are staging accidents, they're making claims, auto body work, and they're taking the money and they're using it for other criminal activity. But meanwhile, the citizens of Brampton, they're the ones paying the insurance rates. So not only are these people doing that, but they're also involved in extortions, which we know we've proven. So today is a very significant day. 18 tow trucks right around this lot. It also sends a message to the other illegal tow companies that are in this business that we will also follow them and find them.
There were highway or road accident victims also because these tow trucks, they also grab and rip money from them. That is also one of the issue involved in this towing industry. Do we need to regulate it at provincial and municipal levels? More regulations?
The individuals involved with these are definitely involved in victimizing, exploiting people at the roadside. Could be my daughter, your family member. So that is a concern for the province of Ontario. The province has recently invested money on a joint forces operation that's intended to attack the toll industry. The regulations always need opportunity to be looked at. We know it used to be the responsibility of municipalities, gone to the province, but there are changes happening. I think in all cases, we can always make some changes and improvements.
So extortion is a Canada-wide issue from Alberta to BC and here in Ontario. So by busting this towing gang, so do you think this is a wider Canada-wide operation by these gangs?
This particular gang, we have yet to see whether they're responsible for anything in Lower Mainland or BC. But one thing we do know is when one gang does it, the other ones copy it. So I think it's important for them to see them being dismantled, not just one or two people that did the shooting, but everybody involved. They were seizing all the houses, the phones, the monies, the car, the assets. It's an important message because then they also change and will stop doing it.
So out of 18 arrests, how many still hearing for bail and how many released?
We out of the 18, 15 were held for bail. 7 more are yet to go for bail hearing. 5 have been released. 1 is in custody.
Those who has been released, do we need to change the laws at both the levels that this is a heinous crimes happening?
It is. It depends on it. What happens is each individual is assessed on a single basis only. So some of them might have been the cash or financial people. Some might have been the ones doing the shootings. So depending on what their involvement is how they're judged on whether they're a risk to get released. But yes, there are more improvements are needed.
So your final message to the resident of Peel in terms of the public safety?
I think what the public needs to know is that since the extortions have really disrupted things here in Peel, has caused great concern for our community locally and beyond, please know this is another example how we will continue to investigate, charge, and hold those people responsible here in Peel. We are taking the lead nationally, and we will make sure that we keep this community safe.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Project Outsource, another example of great police work by Peel Regional Police. The extortion threats, the tow truck violence had been terrifying our community. And Chief Nish said they were going to put the resources and effort behind it to dismantle it. 33 officers involved, many undercover officers that became embedded in this criminal effort to tear it apart and expose those responsible. So today's a great day. This extortion network has now been arrested, charged, and they'll face the consequences of their actions.
Yeah, congratulations to Peel Regional Police, Chief Nish, ਜੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਟਾਸਕ ਫੋਰਸ ਜੋ ਬਣੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਐਕਸਟੋਰਸ਼ਨ ਟਾਸਕ ਫੋਰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਪਰੇਟ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਸੀਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਸ ਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਪਿਛਲੇ 11 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ and so they have made some very remarkable arrests and seized a lot of goods ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਮਗਰ ਦੇਖ ਹੀ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ ਜੋ vehicles khade hai gaya jo tow trucks ne ammunition and many other things jehdiyan ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੀਜ਼ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲਸ ਤੋਂ it's good ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜਿਸ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਡਰੱਗ ਸੀਜ਼ਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ 1/3 of that was done by CBSA at the border ਬਾਕੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਲੋਕਲੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਸੀਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ that means our streets are safer as a result all of this equipment that you see here today ਜੋ guns ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੜਕਾਂ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਗੀਆਂ ਜੋ drugs related crimes ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ criminal organizations ਜੋ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ variety of crimes ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਕ ਡਾਈਵਰਸਿਫਾਈਡ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਮਾਡਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਸੋ ਇਟਸ ਗੁੱਡ ਟੂ ਸੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਟੋ ਟਰੱਕ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਾਫੀ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲਾਂ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਖਾਸ ਜੋ ਫਰਾਡ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਟੋ ਟਰੱਕ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਂਡ ਜੋ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਨਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਜੋ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਆਪਣੇ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਰੇਟਸ ਤੇ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ organizations te nath pai jave and then of course jo extortions apni business community jo threats face kar rahe sige this is an important step to making sure bi ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ organizations ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ dismantle ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਹਰ ਵਕਤ ਲਈ at the federal level at the provincial level municipal ਜਿਹੜੇ police boards ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ I've talked to different municipalities already Edmonton Vancouver and ਇੱਥੇ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਖਾਸ ਡਿਟੇਲਡ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਵੈਨਸਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰ ਰਿਫਾਰਮਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਲਿਆਂਦੇ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆਮ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਇਨ ਟਾਕਸ ਵਿਦ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਅਟਾਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ ਐਂਡ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਪਰ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਚੇਂਜਸ ਮੰਗੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਕੁਝ ਚੇਂਜਸ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸਾਲ ਵੀ ਲਿਆਂਦੀਆਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਉਸ ਚੇਂਜਸ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਉਹਦੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਨੀ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕੀ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਹੈਗਾ ਕੋਰਟ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜੱਜਸ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਡਿਸੀਜਨ ਬਣਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ many judges I've spoken to are talking about the inhumane conditions ਜੋ ਜੇਲਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ the lack of space and ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ hands ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ forced ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ option ਨਹੀਂ ਬਚਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ other than to release people on bail so it's very important ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਕੁਝ commitments provincial ਵਿੰਨੀਓ ਵੀ ਮਿਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਪੇਸ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੀਆਂ ਐਂਡ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਵਿੰਨੀ ਵੀ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਲੈਜਿਸਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਐਂਡ ਇਸ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਰਿਫਾਰਮਸ ਲਿਆਂਦੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਥਰੂ ਦ ਸਟਰੋਂਗਰ ਬੋਰਡਰਸ ਐਕਟ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਫੀ ਟੂਲਸ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਆਪਦੀਆਂ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗੇ ਤੇਜ਼ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ
Good morning, this is Nitin. Question is for MPP Garewal and Minister Sota. How long they will be in before they get the bail? Because in the towing industry, extortions and shootings, these are going on since long time, and also they have access to police signals, police walkie-talkies. So are they already released or question for MPP Garewal and Minister Sota? Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Nitin. I think you are probably aware that I don't have the information to provide to you. That's something that is within the judicial courts and under their purview. The justice system is administered by the province of Ontario. They may have more light to shed on this. As mentioned in my remarks, I'm looking forward to presenting legislation in the coming months with bail reform. However, I will point out on that general issue as well that there are restrictions to bail that we put in place in January of 2024. It would be helpful to receive data as to how those restrictions have improved in certain areas of the justice system. So there's a lot of cooperation and coordination, I believe, that's needed amongst the provincial government and the federal government to make informed decisions as to how we move forward on our bail regime. But a part of that work is also making sure that proper evidence is presented, that Crown prosecutors are properly resourced, and that there is a place to house and put people behind bars, honestly speaking. So that leads me to once again reiterate that is why I've made an emphasis in my speech that there is a lot of coordinated effort that it will take on behalf of all levels of government to make sure that this issue is addressed properly.
Nitin, I can further update that as it relates to this particular investigation, out of the 18 arrested, 15 were held for bail. 7 have thus far been processed. Out of the 7 that were processed by the courts, 6 have been released and 1 has been held in custody, if I'm correct, to the detective sergeant.
Add one thing in, Nitin, because I know you've been passionate about this topic and there's legitimate concerns around bail reform. 2 things I think it's important to appreciate is that if you're held in custody, sometimes the judges award 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 when there's an eventual sentence. And so, there is, if you complain down the road that it's time served by the time the trial has been had, there's that reality to being in custody before you have the right to trial as well. But I would say Minister Sahota has invited Chief Nish and myself to come to Ottawa to share PRP's concerns to make sure the new bail legislation gets it right. And that collaborative approach, I believe, is what's going to allow us to really address this and fix this and make sure we have confidence in the bail system.
MPP Garewal, you want to make a comment? Coordinating with the federal government.
Sure. Thank you very much, Nitin. It's great to be here. And thank you to Peel Regional Police Chief and the entire team for this great announcement today, making sure our streets are safer. When it comes to bail laws, it's important that we work together provincially and federally to ensure that these offenders stay behind bars, especially when it comes to repeat offenders. Our government has been steadfast in pushing that message forward. Even Premier Ford last night retweeted that some of the offenders on the last announcement that we made in terms of the biggest drug bust in Peel, they were out on bail, and that's completely disgusting. We don't want to see that on our streets. So our government's committed to making sure that we build more facilities across the province to ensure we have the adequate space for these offenders, and also continue to work collaboratively with our federal partners to ensure that the new round of bail reforms include some of those changes that will make sure these offenders stay behind bars. Thank you.
Thank you. My follow-up is for Chair Nando, and anyone can answer after that. Recent incidents in Vaughan, a law-abiding citizen, he just shot one shot in air, just a warning shot, and he is being charged. Now he has to go for extensive 18 months hustle and bustles. He had a legal gun. And what is the purpose of a legal gun? What we have to do to protect our citizens, because there is a failure at some levels. That's the reason the person, the individual, he protected, he just did a fire shot. Why he is being charged and what needs to be changed here? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. I know of the incident. I don't know the details, and I'm not going to speak to it in another jurisdiction. At another level, though, I think you're speaking to the core of the main concern that I think the service has, the providers of that want to do something about this. It's the fact that people are intimidated and scared and don't know what to do and feel like they have to protect themselves. And that's where we come in, and it is our obligation and our duty. But I wanted to follow up on your last question as well. In days gone by, when we were in the worst days of this crisis, and it was a crisis, I, Mayor Brown, others as well, a little concerned that our partners and other level of governments weren't as forthright as we would like them to be. I'll put it that way. I really have to commend them in the last 18 months or 2 years in the spirit of cooperation, everybody redoubling their efforts, outcomes like this. So I think we're on the right track now, because you can't let people commit crimes with impunity. I remember the worst example that I had was, believe it or not, I don't want to give away too much, but they pick on young, poor individuals, marginalized, that under the age of 16, and they don't have other options in life, so they give you $500 to steal a car. What I was shocked at most is when they said, but hold on, I'm getting caught and I could be in trouble. What do you mean? Well, I could end up in jail. And apparently the organized crime that takes advantage of them says, a day in jail, you spend a night in jail, we won't give you $500, we'll give you $10,000. That's impunity. And that's what we're addressing now, saying there will be consequences. We need to do more, but I have never been more confident in all our partners at the other levels of government that we will be doing on a continuum to be doing much, much more now, so that this impunity is gone and you will face consequences like today. Thank you.
Chief, you want to make a comment on the self-protection laws? Thank you.
So, and then I can't comment on the incident that you're referring to. It belongs to another, obviously, municipality. I just think, we all have been very privileged here to have, relatively safe communities and neighborhoods and homes, and not comparing ourselves to the U.S. or otherwise. There are means that are protected and under codified under the law that allow people to use as much reasonable force as necessary. So that is something that is actually for the courts to determine on an individual case-by-case basis. But, I think in all of our minds, we just want to go back to the time where people felt safe at their homes, didn't feel vulnerable, would feel confident leaving their children there, no matter what the case is. And I think there are other opportunities to seek ways to ensure that and get upstream to prevent them from getting to this point. But it is a very complicated thought. And, our job is to just take each individual case and make sure that it aligns with what's lawful. Let me take you back to the beginning of 2023, where here in the region of Peel and other large urban centers nationally and internationally saw a sharp trend in violent extortion attempts, particularly targeting the South Asian business community and owners of various businesses. These threats escalated into a variety of different offenses, including drive-by shootings, arsons, a variety of acts of violence that spread fear and insecurity, not just into our local community, but it gripped international news. Our response here at Peel was swift, and that was the establishment of an extortion investigative task force, which at times exceeded 40 officers. We committed to protecting our community in a real, notable, bold way by targeting those responsible. Since that time, Peel Regional Police has had the privilege of announcing a variety of different arrests, which have amassed over hundreds of charges and related offenses as a demonstration of the intent to maintain this commitment. And since July 2024, that extortion investigative team transformed into what we call and initiated this project OUTSOURCE. And I suspect the team will explain why it was named that way. But it's an investigation into criminal organization responsible for a significant amount of these extortions here in Peel. But as you will see, there's a second element to that which will be explained. And that's why you're surrounded by nearly 18 tow trucks and a variety of other vehicles around you. OUTSOURCE was initially focused on extortions, but as I said, soon expanded to the focus on revealing that Inderjit Dhami and Paritosh Chopra were the leaders of a criminal organization responsible for numerous offenses, including extortion, violence, and as you will hear, tow-related offenses.
Project OUTSOURCE has resulted in the arrest and charging, as you heard from the chief, of 2 people who we believe were leading a criminal organization. They are Inderjit Dhami and Paritosh Chopra, and they are charged with instructing the commission of an offense for a criminal organization. What that means is they were in charge of this organization and providing direction to others that were a part of it. This was a crime group who attempted to extort hundreds of thousands of dollars from our community with threats, and also engaged in tow industry related violence and crimes like fraud. A total of 18 people have been arrested and collectively share nearly 100 criminal charges related to extortion, conspiracy, fraud, firearms, and more. A total of $4.2 million in assets have been seized, including 18 tow trucks, 5 stolen vehicles, and 4 personal vehicles. In addition, officers have seized 6 firearms and approximately 600 rounds of ammunition. We have substantial evidence linking the group to dozens of staged accidents and potentially costing insurance companies between $80,000 and $100,000 for each staged accident. In total, those fraudulent claims exceed $1 million for this particular investigation. And to put that in perspective, fraudulent claims to the industry of insurance represent an equal amount to stolen cars, a cost which is then passed on to our community. To those who continue to engage in organized crime, our services and our teams will arrest and charge you. But in addition to that, we will also seize the assets that are the focus of why you're involved in your crimes. Project OUTSOURCE is more than a successful investigation. It's a clear message. Crime has no place in Peel. Crime has no place in our communities. To our community members, if you receive a demand for money under violence, do not pay. Call the police immediately. We are committed to protecting your identity and your safety.
Are male residents of Brampton, along with one female from King City. Indrajit Dami, 38 years old. Paritosh Chopra, 32. Gurbinder Singh, 28. Kawinder Puri, 25. Parminder Puri, 31. Indrajit Bal, 29. Varun Ul, 31. Ketan Chopra, 30. Norman Tazikand, 32. Pawandeep Singh, 25. Dipanshu Garg, 24. Rahul Verma, 27. Karan Boparai, 26. Mankarit Boparai, 22. Samar Boparai, 21. Abhinav Bardwaj, 25. And Haleh Javadi Tarabi, a 37-year-old female from King City.
So on behalf of the board, I want to reaffirm that commitment to stand alongside our police service, our partners, and most importantly, the residents of Peel. And I do want to close, as I've been at this a while, what a privilege. I cannot remember the last time that on a dais I've been with members from all levels of government, especially on such an important file. Normally we have some of our ministers from the province. It's a busy day at Queen's Park, but I have to single out Doug Ford and all he has done to help Peel Police on this file. Minister Kersner and all that he's done. The joint services and all that you've done. I want to thank the officers involved. You know, today's a busy day, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go for my walk in the park with my wife, as I usually do. And the people in uniform here are going to go back out and deal with people with firearms like this and malintent. You've got to keep that in mind when we deal with our officers, and I think our obligation is to resource them, but then have their backs when they need our support. They can't fight a two-front war. They can't go after the bad guys on the front lines and then have us not resourcing them and not supporting them, and we support them. And that's a marvelous segue for me that I can introduce Patrick Brown. You know, Patrick, I've been just so impressed with you and your role as Mayor of Brampton and all you do at the Region of Peel and all you've done on the board. Patrick is incredibly hardworking, incredibly intelligent, but where he's been so great to the Police Services Board is his advocacy. He has been on these policing files since he's come to the board, traveled to Ottawa and Queen's Park many, many times on behalf of the board. And Patrick, a large part of today's success is yours. So with thanks from all of us, I'm happy to turn it over to Mayor Brown.
Talking to Chief Nish about this, and his immediate response was, we'll get to the bottom of it. And how reassuring is it to have a chief, who can take these complex issues with confidence, and it just gives us peace of mind in Brampton and in Peel Region. This is exactly why you make sure the Peel Police have the resources to do their job, because with those resources, they can do extraordinary investigative work. When you think about this, 33 officers involved, including undercover officers, doing dangerous work. We have a team at PRP that runs towards danger, volunteers towards to work in dangerous conditions, and they do that to keep us safe. And so I'm here today with a debt of gratitude for my residents for this great work. And you look at the violent weapons off our street, you look at an organized network that is now dismantled, shattered. This is an example of great police work. And just like Chair Yanika said, to see all levels of law enforcement working together, this is an example of how law enforcement works at its best. And once again, Peel Police is the tip of the spear in tackling an issue that, frankly, extended well beyond the borders of Brampton and Mississauga. This extortion crisis we had in our country. I remember jumping on a call with the National Minister of Public Safety and mayors in Edmonton and Surrey, and it was being replicated. This type of criminal intimidation was being replicated. And so I think this sends a real message to anyone that wants to commit acts like this, acts of extortion, is there'll be consequences. They will be arrested. They will be charged. And today is a win for public safety. It's a win for our community. I'm just so grateful to be here with the incredible men and women at PRP. Thank you so much.
Our new government is going to provide law enforcement with even more tools to take down organized crime. Earlier this month, we introduced Bill C-2, the Strong Borders Act, to strengthen our ability to combat organized crime from its origins to its financial roots. This landmark legislation will give law enforcement powerful tools to disrupt criminal networks, seize illicit assets, clamp down on money laundering, and reinforce our borders against the trafficking of firearms, drugs, and criminals. And we're not stopping there. This initiative builds on our $1.3 billion historic investment in our borders. And in addition, we are going to add more resources to the RCMP with 1,000 new officers and to CBSA with another 1,000 new officers. When law enforcement does great work like they have today through Project OUTSOURCE, we need to make sure that it's met with a bail and sentencing system that fits the nature of these crimes. That's why our new government has committed to introducing legislation that will make it harder to get bail for those charged with violent car theft, home invasions, and human trafficking and smuggling offenses. This legislation will also toughen sentencing guidelines so they are stricter for repeat offenders of car theft as well as violent and organized criminals. Today's action in Peel, Bill C-2, and our commitment to bail and sentencing changes send a clear message. If you threaten our cities, if you extort, steal, traffic guns, or commit violence, you will be caught and prosecuted and punished.
Project OUTSOURCE would not have been possible without all their support and relentless efforts of our frontline officers. This 11-month investigation, supported by the Ministry of the Solicitor General, is a major disruption to organized criminal networks. It's a clear message to those who threaten our communities. We will not tolerate it. Project OUTSOURCE is also proof of what can be achieved when we back our words with action. These results were made possible because this government continues to invest in tools, the training, the resources, and police need. As the Solicitor General has said many times, and I will proudly reiterate, there has never been a government more focused on public safety than the one under the leadership of Premier Ford. Thanks to his leadership, Ontarians can wake up, go to work, and return home knowing their safety is a top priority every single day. Let me also recognize the broader context of this moment, which is Ontario's commitment to keep our communities safe. In the spring sitting, we have just passed Project Ontario through the Safer Streets and Stronger Communities Act, a comprehensive bill that strengthens our laws, updates enforcement tools, and reinforces our commitment to public safety. To the people of Peel and across Ontario, our government will never stop fighting to protect you, because your safety will always be our top priority. Thank you.